Alright, I think it's starting. Alright, so I'm here with Jeff Latham, rock star realtor out of Arlington, Washington. Not to be confused with Arlington, Virginia. So Jeff, what does your business look like now? How many homes do you sell? What's the total volume and commission, which some people refer as your ego number? And what's your net?
Well, this year's not over. Right now it's July 24th, 2017. And so we'll go off of last year's volume. We did $87 million in volume. Our ego number...
$87 million.
Yeah, our ego number, GCI, was $2.4 million last year. And we kept $500,000 to the bottom line, net profit.
So $500,000.
Yep.
So you're in the top 1%, which is around 400,000 national average.
Yep.
Congrats.
Thank you.
What's your team look like now? How's it structured? Are you doing all the deals?
I still do some deals. I like to compete with my team. I hunt and kill. I'll probably knock out 50 to 60 deals this year. I was completely out of it in 2013, and I felt like I was held hostage. And so I jumped back in. And so now we have probably around 10 agents, 3 admin, executive assistant, 1 ISA. So there's quite a few of us.
Okay, and what, so you have 10 agents that are working with buyers and sellers?
Correct.
Okay. And how is their day structured, or their system structured?
I don't really have a system, you know. I don't micromanage them. I just go for the results, and I push them towards lead measure to getting appointments. I know if they can get 2 appointments a week and convert at a 50% conversion ratio, they should effectively be able to close 4 deals a month, which would make them $20,000 a month. Are they doing that right now? Not yet. But that's what I hold them to. I don't like to micromanage people. I think they should just be able to get their shit together and be awesome.
All right, that's good stuff. How long have you been in the real estate industry?
Since 2002, so 15 years.
All right, so you've had a long career in it. What made you get into the industry back in 2002, and how did you start off?
So, in 2001, I went to college, a community college. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I took this class called Study Skills, and the teacher said something pretty interesting. She said, I don't teach to make money. I teach because I love it. If I want to make a lot of money, I would sell real estate. And that's when I had kind of that light bulb moment where a light bulb went off in my head, and my mother sold real estate. And so I went home and told my mom that I was dropping out of college to sell real estate. And she did her best to protect me because she knows how brutal the business can be. And, you know, in a loving way, discouraged me from going down that path. So the next day I dropped out of college and signed up for real estate and started selling homes, and was able to quit my full-time job because my part-time job of selling real estate was exceeding the income in 2004, and by 2004 I was able to transition full-time real estate.
What was your full-time job?
I was working at Albertsons. I was an assistant produce manager.
Okay, so you're at the grocery store, selling real estate on the side, then all of a sudden it took off. What were your initial keys to success during that time? What made it become your full-time job, or just, you know, made it grow so fast that you had to dive in full speed? And how long did that take?
It took me 2 years about, really.
Okay.
You know, the first year in real estate I sold 5 homes. Second year I sold 15. And I was selling homes to my friends. You know, I was probably in my early 20s. And so it just became came to a point where, you know, I was making 36 grand a year at Albertsons, and then my real estate income started exceeding that, and I just had to make the decision where it was time to make that transition, because I was waking up at 3 o'clock every morning, working till 12:30, going home, and then selling homes. And something.
So you were working from about 3 a.m. to noon, and then selling real estate after that.
Yep.
And
primarily.
Second year looks like you would have cracked six-figure salary from your side job, or 15 homes, probably close to it.
Gosh, my average price point was about $145,000, so my average commission was $4,500. So that would have been about $65,000.
Still double your part-time.
Double what my full-time job was making. Yeah, at 23, 24 years old.
And what do you think led to that success, to go from 5 in your first year to 15 in the second year? How did you get those deals?
You know, it's funny.
Why do people do business?
Well, I can tell you, because I'm fucking relentless. But the first thing I did was I found the most successful guy in my office, and his name was Doug Newman, and he's making $150,000 a year selling manufactured homes in trailer parks. And I would just go sit back there and listen to him and watch him do his magic. And he looked at me and he said, you know, someday you're going to make 6 figures. And it was hard for me to fathom, because there was just so much money back then. You know, we're talking 15 years ago. And he eventually ended up working for me 10 years later, come full circle. But, you know, I just learned. I have I think one of my superpowers is I find people that are excelling in their area, and I go learn from them to collapse time to get there faster.
So you saw a good role model, use his success as an example.
I used it as motivation.
Copied some of the stuff he did, and that helped lead you to success?
Somewhat. I used it as motivation because I seen that he's done it, and another tool I use is if I see somebody else has done something that's pretty spectacular, I know I can do it. I.e., we're just off the tail end of an Ironman. I've seen other people do it, and I figure, well, shit, if they can do it, I can, you know. So, but initially, my business was built off of selling homes to my sphere group. And my friends and family. You know, I would sit floor time 5-6 days a week. That wasn't hyper effective.
All right, well, what do you think are the keys to your success now?
I'm relentless. I'm hungry. I'm driven. And I care about people.
What challenges did you have when you first started out? And how has that evolved? Like, what challenges do you have now that are different from then?
Well, I think my challenges first starting out, you know, I had pretty good success when I was in my youth from real estate. I would say from 23 to 27 years old, I was making over 6 figures a year. And when I was 27, I peaked out and I sold 37 homes on my own with no admin support, no assistant, no marketing or nothing. I was sitting open houses 6 days a week. I was selling homes to my friends, my family.
How are you doing 6 days a week? Were you sitting in builder models?
Sitting flats, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I made like 180 grand that year, and naturally I invested it all into my truck. I had a really awesome truck. I probably spent over 100 grand into it. And then 2008 came, and that was an eye-opener because I went from selling 37 homes a year, making 180 grand a year, down to selling 8 homes a year, making $45,000 a year with a $180,000 a year budget. And so it's almost like the world stopped turning in 2008, and no matter how hard I pushed, no matter what I did, I could not get momentum. And I just remember feeling helpless because no one was buying any homes or selling any homes at that time. The only people that were really winning in that market were the bank-owned agents, the REO agents. And so I had to really just get strategic and go through some challenges and adapt to the adversity to make it through. I remember my wife actually told me, she says, "You should get a job." And that was like the most painful thing ever, because I just couldn't figure it out, you know. And an email came across my news feed to go to a real estate conference and to learn how to sell bank-owned properties. And so I went there in Florida and brought my wife, fortunately, and there were guys up there that were selling 200, 300, 400, 500 homes a year. And I never, ever even thought that was possible. I thought if you sold 50 homes a year, you're the best in the world. And so I had 2 credit cards maxed out. You know, I thought 20 grand a piece. And when it came time to sign up for coaching, I asked my wife, I said, should I do this? Because it's $1,500 a month. Fortunately, she was there and she said, yes, go for it. And so I remember going back there and handing my card to the people at the coaching program and hoping that there was enough left on it, on my credit card, to process my payment to sign up for their real estate coaching. And it went through. I went home, implemented the systems and the marketing, and started selling homes to people that didn't know me. And so I rebounded. 2009, I sold 22 homes, and I had to hire a buyer agent by default because I knew how to become a marketer. 2010, I did 55 units. 2011, I did 104 units. 2012, 148. 2013, 172. 2014, 202. 2015, 225. 2016, which was last year, we did 267 at 84 million. And we just continued to grow and hire people along the way, and we learned how to sell homes to people that didn't know us, and here we are now.
So would you say, that's pretty impressive, would you say initially you had success early, mid-2000s when the market was booming and you were doing well with your friends and people that knew you, and then
Yes.
that kind of tanked eventually because of the market and
The economy.
And then you switched from that niche of people that knew you to the niche of, you know, I'll be the REO guy, and kind of figured out how to do that. And that
Yeah, I leveraged bank-owned properties actually on Craigslist. I ran ads, free list of bank-owned properties with pictures and maps, because I didn't have any REO accounts. And I watched all these agents getting their asses just handed to them by these little pricks that make 30 grand a year telling them what to do, you know, the REO asset managers. They act like they're like God or something, you know, but anyway, I didn't have those accounts. So I positioned myself as the guy that had the bank-owned properties. And I would run ads on Craigslist, free list of bank-owned properties with pictures and maps. And all the buyers would reach out to me, and then I would go sell them the homes.
And nobody else was doing that, or clearly not enough people in your market.
I dominated Craigslist. Craigslist, I mean, I just smashed it. And so
you went from selling to friends and family basically to the market tanking to being the REO guy, and then just dominating on Craigslist in that area.
Yeah, I never was the REO guy, but I positioned myself as the REO guy because I didn't have the listings.
Gotcha.
It was a heavy buyer business, and it still is. But I just crushed buyers. I was so good with buyers.
So I guess back then in that market, tons of sellers trying to dump their homes. You were the guy who found buyers.
I was the guy that put the buyers into the homes because you almost didn't want listings because the values were dropping so rapidly. The only listings that were selling were the assets from the bank, the troubled assets. And so there was so much inventory coming on the market, it was a good time to have buyers. And so I could generate so many buyers. It was crazy. I was working with so many buyers once I learned how to be a marketer first. I got fired by 3 of them, and I had to do an autopsy and figure out what happened. And they told me, basically the conversation was, we thought you didn't care. And it wasn't that I didn't care. It was that I didn't have the capacity to help them all. So then I had to teamify. I had to hire a buyer's agent.
You had to hire people.
Because I got fired, and it cost me, if you measure backwards, the income I lost was about $21,000. And so I started building a team before teams were cool. I mean, this was 2009.
Right.
7-8 years ago. Right?
That's pretty amazing. So what is your kind of typical day look like today? Where do you spend your time? What, like the percentage that's divided up between marketing, management, leading, working with buyers, working with sellers.
It's interesting, I mean, I wish I could give you like a recipe or a formula. But there's no right way. There's just what's right for you. And I guess what's right for me is I wake up in the morning and I plan my day. And I look at it and I figure out what's the most effective thing I can do today that will get me closest to my big-ass goal. And then from there, there's usually, some sort of marketing piece to elevate more opportunities for my team. And the next thing is who's going to buy a home for me, list a home with me, or whose home am I going to purchase. And I knock that down. And if I win the day, every single day, then I win the week. And if I win every week, I win the month. If I win every month, I win the quarter. And if I win the quarter, I win the year. But I think really, I just flow with, I just flow with what shows up with me. If a buyer comes to mind, or a seller, or anybody, I take immediate fucking action. And I call them, or I have the conversation, and I execute rapidly. I don't write it down and try and get to it later because I know it won't happen. I implement faster than anybody. One of my coaches, I asked him, I said, what sets your best coaching students apart from the other ones that aren't as great? He said, action. He says, the ones that take action get the results. And so I will fail faster. I will take action and execute faster than anybody I know. Minus Carrie. She fucking executes quick.
And would you say, that too many people will look busy or be doing activities, but they're not taking that initial time up front at every day to figure out, what's the most important thing I can do today that will bring the result I need, or...
Yeah. So many people are getting ready to get ready to get ready to get ready to get ready. I know a lot of broke, smart people. They say work harder, or work smarter, not harder. Well, they work so damn hard on being smart, they forget to execute, and I think there's a disconnect where they don't do the frickin' work, and then the results don't show up. You gotta take action now, screw it up, move on, and take imperfect action. And then course correct and find out if it worked, great. If not, then adjust. And just keep moving forward.
Yeah, that actually reminds me of time on the submarine. When I used to be on submarines, you'd come into periscope depth when you first got up there and had the scope out of the water, or confirming that the visual picture matched what you thought, based on sonar before you were at periscope depth. If you saw a ship doing, in a certain distance, as a submarine, you had to be the first one to act because they can't really see you, and you're not very maneuverable at periscope depth or on the surface, and so if you waited for the perfect course to steer to, it might be too late.
Yeah.
So you kind of had to give the order to, left rudder or right rudder, and then as the boat is turning in that direction. Refine the solution, get the, but, the important thing was to get that initial order of kind of the right direction, but then fine-tune it as the action was happening. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of life or death, right? And so many people, I believe procrastination is just, it's an epidemic. And now, I mean, I'm a proponent of coaching. I mean, I've invested over $100,000 a year over the last few years in coaching. Yet I think some people take it to the extreme to where they just get so focused on learning, they forget to execute.
Yeah, I see that a lot. Well, what's the biggest advice you'd give to somebody who's starting out in the industry? Just got their license or thinking about getting their license and wants to break through and crack that 6-figure level. What would you tell them?
First, I figure out what it is you want. What lifestyle do you want? And then who is living that lifestyle? Who has the family life? Who has the business? Who has the income? Who has the health, the fitness, the spiritual connection that you want? And then go learn from them. And don't be afraid to go ask them to learn from them, because they're more than likely givers. If people have quote-unquote made it, or they're playing at a bigger level, contribution, their ability to contribute is why they are where they're at. So go find the people that are playing the game that you want to play at the level you want to play. Become their buddy immediately. Show me your friends, and I'll tell you your future.
It's great advice. What about someone who's a solo agent, has been in for, a little bit of time, is making over 100 or maybe even 200 or more, doesn't have a team yet? What advice would you give them? Maybe they've plateaued, maybe they're still growing, but what would you tell that agent who's cracked the top 10%, but doesn't, still working on their own?
Sure. Well, I might go off on a little bit of a tangent here, but a lot of agents that just think they can do it all, you only have so much bandwidth, and something has to give, and so you get those agents that may act like they're successful, but where are they failing at in other areas of their life? Are they, you see agents that maybe crush in business, but they're fat, they're unhealthy, their marriage sucks, they're on the verge of divorce, they're not dialed in spiritually, and they're just like, they're a one-dimensional human being. And so, what I would say is, I would find people that are playing a bigger game and go learn from them, because I believe you can have it all. I believe you can have an amazing family, you can have an amazing marriage, you can have amazing fitness, and you can have an amazing business, and multiples of them, if you learn from the people that have done that, because you'll be able to compress time. You'll be able to get the time machine to get to where you want to go faster. So go learn from someone that's playing at a bigger level than you. There's always another level.
What about someone who's got a team, is doing well, netting $500K or more? What would you tell them?
Go learn from someone that's playing bigger game. Actually, you know what I tell them? I tell them to go invest in fucking real estate. It's a passive income producing property stream, so then work is just an option.
What trends do you see in the industry right now, and where do you think it's going?
I think people are trying to outsource. They're trying to get rid of the real estate agent. I think I see Amazon, I see Zillow, I see other companies that are doing the best to get into that realm and cut the middleman out. And so that's why we're looking at becoming the creator of real estate, by becoming builders, by flipping properties, by creating the inventory, by going further upstream so we're insulated from technology eventually Uberizing, if you will, our industry.
So you're diversifying now by, not only helping people buy and sell the homes, but you're actually going out and buying homes, improving them, turning land into a better home, building new.
Yeah. We will become the biggest builder in Washington State. We will become the biggest house, we'll call it upgrader, in Washington State. So we will create the inventory, and we will dominate, because that seems like it's the next level. I mean, I've seen real estate agents, and I've seen a lot of them crush it, but to get to 10 million net worth, 20 million, 30 million net worth, to really be playing big, I believe, and it could be my hallucination is, that in order to be playing at that game, you got to go further upstream. You got to be the builder, the developer, the creator. And I think you're kind of insulated, and especially in an inventory deficient market. We don't have a lot of inventory where we're at, so we've shifted to creating that inventory. Not that we're not still selling real estate, we'll still crush it this year, but it's just.
And what are you doing to protect your real estate sales from, Zillow, Amazon, Redfin, whoever else is trying to get in on it?
Well, marketing is really my strength, I've been learning just even on this trip. I'm really good at marketing, and so I'm focusing on controlling my marketing in different avenues outside of Zillow and pay-per-click, and leveraging more social media, and it's fun.
So kind of finding your niche and speaking to them through channels that the Zillows and the Amazons that might miss out on.
Somewhat, yeah. It's just a different message. I just wherever the eyeballs are, that's where I'm fishing.
And what's next for you?
Well, we're flipping. Currently, we have 3 homes that we're flipping right now, upgrading, if you will. We're gonna get that thing really just crushing it, and then we're gonna start buying dirt and building homes. We actually have a custom home we're building now too, and we're gonna continue to dominate in real estate sales as well. Yet it just seems, as the evolution goes, as I grow and learn more from people that are playing a bigger game than me, the investors, that's the end game.
All right, well,
Being
thanks.
one.
Thanks for chatting, and do this again sometime.
Yeah, brother.
See how your path to dominating Washington building goes.
Thanks for having me.